bruh, you're doing my man Haito. Come on. His death matters too, you know? I thought you cared.
Does it though? We're not counting since.
Hey.
Wait, when did Suellen turn her light on?
When you were, I don't remember, but recently.
Okay, congratulations.
Flash.
Welcome everyone to OCHATO, the fortnightly podcast where we drink tea and review manga. I am Oliver.
And I'm Suellen.
And I'm Jane. Why do you sound so unsure?
Are you Suellen?
Yes, I am.
Who is this person we're doing this podcast?
No, of course I'm Suellen.
Who are you and what have you done with Suellen?
Imposter.
Dylan. Does that sound humongous? Like,
Every 2 weeks, we pick a manga that one of us has recommended, and we read up to a certain chapter to discuss the manga with a megaton of spoilers. This week, we are reading, and excuse my pronunciation here, Sousou no Frieren by Yamada Kanehito and Abe Tsukasa. Up to chapter, I know we said 21 last week, but hopefully up to chapter 22, as it turns out that is where it ends, kind of mini arc fairly comfortably. This was recommended by me. But before diving in, we must know the answer to the most important question. What is everyone drinking?
I am drinking the hot cross bun infusion.
Delicious.
I think this is I'm just gonna be drinking this till Christmas because there's still a lot of tea bags left.
Jade, it's April.
Yeah, I know. I think we'll be here in October where I'll be like, yeah, I'm drinking hot cross bun infusion. But yeah, it's quite nice. It's the taste has not changed from when I last described it. It's still very spicy and in a soft sense, like soft spices. It's got a nice orange color and it smells very good. So yeah.
Nice.
you like it?
Yeah. I thought like I'd get a bit tired of it after drinking it every night. Because I realized I'm just gonna have this, box of tea bags that say hot cross bun infusion. But I guess you want to, if you want to reminisce about Easter when you're, at Halloween or something, it'll be nice to just whip them out. But yeah, it's nice. What about you guys?
I'm drinking the Manga pancake by Bird and Blend.
Yes, I'm on the exact same one. It's so good.
Oh, it smells so good. Like the lemon and the sweetness. It's
So they got lemuga through lemon and sugar, right? Therefore making lemuga, which is not how English works, but I'll allow it.
Hey.
Does the pancake smell come through or taste rather?
No, it smells like rooibos instead of pancake.
What does rooibos smell like?
Jade, I don't really know how to accurately describe the smell of rooibos to you. It's like when you smell tea and it's not, you know that it's going to be a tea kind of drink, but it's not black tea and it's not green tea. That is the rooibos smell. You need to kind of have some to understand what rooibos smells like. But it's really good as a non-caffeinated alternative to regular tea.
It sounds a bit like what I imagine goji berry tea would taste like.
No.
Probably. No? Okay.
I had goji berries in my, it's like not exactly tea, but I had like this dry goji in hot water. Like Asian people, especially Chinese people, do that quite a lot. And they put like are they called daisies? Probably juhua, like maybe jasmine actually. Just like you just see like in their hot water bottles. Yeah, no, I can tell you, it just smells like cake to me.
Oh,
it does smell a lot like cake, like a slightly lemony cake. If you had like crystallized lemon on cake, it would smell like this.
Wow.
It's
I think
good.
it would go nicely with like milk and some sugar if you're into that kind of sweet drink.
What, the tea?
Yes.
Does it work
Ollie.
with milk and sugar?
Yeah. I think on the packet it will say like with or without milk,
I could try it.
whether you can add milk or not.
I think you could even be adventurous and put some apple popping pearls in.
Absolutely. Never again.
I'll bring that up.
I stupidly made the poor decision years ago now of getting a milk tea, and then I was like, oh, let's, instead of having the regular tapioca bubbles, let's have apple popping pearls. Horrendous mistake. Never again. They were awful.
Oh,
Pardon?
wasn't it strawberry? Or
I
apple?
think they were apple. I remember they were green, which
Okay.
makes me think apple. It was just awful.
You're not going to mention the first half of the story, whereas I'm the one who started it. You just blindly trusted me.
Did
and
you get it too?
No, because I picked it because I was being adventurous. But then you're like, I gonna follow you, Suellen. And I was like, why did you follow me?
I did
And you're
trust you,
like,
and you did betray me.
and we both regretted our decision.
It was, yeah.
And I was just there with my, my regular choice, watching them squirm.
They say that people are more adventurous at uni.
Yeah. You can sometimes take it a bit too far.
You can indeed. Okay. All right. So, should we talk about Sousou no Frieren, which I'm just going to mess up the pronunciation of every time. I'm struggling with saying Frieren.
Frieren Beyond Journey's End.
Yes.
In English, but it still has the word Frieren in it. Frieren at the funeral. Think of it as like Frieren, like
because that's her name, not Frieren. Get out of here.
Freedom.
So, Frieren Beyond Journey's End, we'll go with the English title now, follows a party of adventurers who vanquished the Demon King and restored harmony to the world after a 10-year quest. The heroic group includes the kind of human hero, a dwarven warrior, a human priest, and the elven mage Frieren. Before they part at the end of their quest, they observe some what's called the era meteors together, which is a meteor shower that occurs about once every 50 years. Frieren then agrees to see them again and offer them a better view of the event the next time. She then departs and travels the world in pursuit of magical knowledge. 50 years later, she returns to the capital. However, everything has changed, and her former companions have distinctly aged. Frieren, I should mention now, is an elf, whereas the others were humans and dwarves. She expresses guilt for... I'm reading straight off Wikipedia, by the way. She expresses guilt for not attempting to learn more about the heroes, especially after Himmel, who was the kind of human main hero, dies after one last adventure to see the meteor shower. She then pays a call to her former comrades and accepts an offer to teach and care for somebody called Fern, who's an orphan child adopted by the human priest, not the human kind of hero, who is also part of their party. This essentially follows her journey with Fern and later on some more people, and kind of talks about magic and what you might do after having kind of vanquished the Demon King. So, what were your first impressions of this?
For me, it was quite a pleasant surprise because I didn't know what to expect from this manga, and from the cover page, I don't know, because I think in manga now is like saturated with it's neither good or bad, I guess. Some might argue it's good, that are full of these fantasy looking stories, with elves and dwarves, or just people in capes and wielding swords. You see that a lot. So I was thinking, oh, maybe it's just like another like adventure story. But what surprised me is like they're at the end of their, like they finish their epic quests, and this like life after the epic quests, which is quite interesting. And I just found myself like not wanting to take break. I was reading it. It gets to the point, like all the dialogues. There's no like a lot of unnecessary padding. I don't know. I just find myself going through it quite quickly, not wanting to pause. So so far very intriguing.
Nice. Jade, what were your thoughts when you first picked it up?
So I didn't know what to expect. The cover was Frieren and I think her pals. I can't remember, but from the get-go, Frieren seems like a mysterious character. And the beginning bit reminded me of Dungeon Meshi when they were kind of looking back on all their achievements as a hero party, and you could tell that they'd been through a lot together. And in the first chapter, I couldn't really see where it was going. I think it was setting up the background for like how these people came to have their journeys end, and where their future now starts. But I think I wasn't totally clear in the beginning. But I liked that Frieren, our main character, isn't the sort of like upbeat kind of like elf character. She has a lot of history that slowly gets revealed over time.
We can condense all of that character and intrigue and personality into one word, kudere, which is like tsundere, but ku, and it means kind of flat emotionally.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
We have yet to see much dere, to be fair. We've seen some. For my part, this was also new to me. I thought it was kind of trending, and I was like, we should read this. OCHATO is perfect for this. So I'll preface this by saying I'm a sucker for fantasy settings. I love them. And you get a lot of kind of bland ones where you get your different races and you get your magic, but they try to carry themselves off that rather than making a good story out of it. And I feel that this is not in that camp. The reasons are that I feel that way is, one, it's a bit of a twist anyway. It's like, hey, they've already finished their journey. And two is Frieren as a character. She is an elf, so she lives well over 1,000. Whereas, two members of her party were humans and one was a dwarf. Dwarves in this world live longer than humans, certainly, but not that much longer. Nowhere near an elf kind of length. And it's really interesting for me seeing her perspective, where right near the start, for her, the 10-year adventure was not very long at all. Compared to the rest of her life. It's like spending kind of a month living around at her friends or something. But for them, it was a huge adventure. And you can see it kind of hit her that actually she really did care about them, but just hadn't thought to spend the time learning about them. When they're at this funeral, and there's like lovely panel, but kind of sad panel, where she's kind of crying and says something along the lines of, I only traveled together with him for 10 years, when they were like, did you know the hero? And I really like that kind of take on it. I like the art as well. So I was hooked, to be honest with you. And I've been really enjoying it since.
And like, didn't you say last week or something, when we first mentioned this title, the title is like a wordplay. Like it could mean like she's sending people to their funeral, or she's attending the funeral. Like
yeah,
which I found it quite interesting.
Frieren at the funeral, yeah, it's good. I like the wordplay. I'm a big fan of wordplay too. So nice. For the characters, we have, of course, Frieren, our lovely, lovable kudere, as we say. She's an elf. She's a mage. She collects lots of spells that do little things that are interesting. Like make flowers or let you see through clothes.
Yeah.
Other things, which is one of my favorite little gags, just having her with these useless spells that she kind of goes around collecting. We have then the heroes party from before, who's I'm going to struggle with all of these names. Heiter, who was kind of the priest, but really liked booze. We have Himmel, who was the quote unquote hero. He had the hero hair. He was kind of the grounding force of the party. And we had Ison, who was a dwarf. Now, most of this story actually takes place afterwards. And Frieren has a kind of new adventuring party, which starts off with just her. Then she picks up Fern, who is another mage. And then later on, a few chapters later, they pick up Stark, who's kind of a warrior, who was one of Ison's disciples. Those are the main cast of what we've seen so far, though there are many other supporting characters. What did you think of them? And were there any kind of characters or character traits that stood out to either of you?
I mean, this is more about their name. I think their names, would they be German?
I was thinking German.
Yeah. Because there's a trick to like pronouncing their names. I think like when there's like I and E next to each other, like you always like emphasize the second one. So like Eisen, like E-I, you would like emphasize the I, and like Heiter as well. But with like Frieren, it's like the E.
This
Fun
is
fact.
challenging, yes.
Fun fact for you. But yeah, in terms of the character, yeah, I didn't think the main protag was going to be Frieren, but I like her. She kind of reminds me of Violet from Violet Evergarden,
hmm
the way that they're both trying to understand human sentiment. Like Violet is trying to understand, what does love mean, because she's like emotionally deprived as a child. She's focus is being a weapon for humanity, and I think Frieren, just because she's an elf, right? She lives so long that they've grown out like the urge to reproduce and also make connections. I think that's what she said, right? So they're both on a quest, sort of getting in touch with their feelings, and you follow her sort of recounting the steps of her journey when she had that epic quest with her party, almost reminiscing of all the things that's happened. It's quite nice to see. It's quite cute when she remembers all those like memories about Himmel, which I found interesting because she's, taken upon herself to, okay, I'm gonna like after his death, I'm gonna like care more about people. But then she proceeds to go on the quest again and not keep in touch with like Heiter or Eisen at all, which I found a bit, I don't know. Is it contradicting a little bit or not?
So I believe she was doing two things. One was taking an offer to look after Fern, because Heiter, there we go. So Heiter's kind of disciple or child that he was looking after, who was Fern, of course, is one of the people that she's looking after. And then I believe she was also going to travel to a soul's resting place to see Himmel again. And that would let them kind of bid their hero a proper farewell. So she kind of does those as well as pursuing her passion of learning magic.
No, because I was just thinking that because I thought her motivation, she's realizing that, maybe I should care more about the people I've went on adventure with, not just humans. I mean, Heiter's human as well. And I thought she would seize that chance to get to know the two other members who have yet died.
Yeah. I
was
thought
like, wait, everything is about Himmel.
Yeah.
And like, is this...
It's the hero.
Yeah. I was like, but what about the other two?
Well, they both kind of asked her to do something. They were there like, hey, here's my will, as it were, in both senses of the word. Please, help me carry it out. Whereas Himmel isn't able to do that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's just one thing. It seems like there's something going on. Who knows? It could be romantic. I don't know, because every flashback she's had so far is with Himmel. I was like, I see.
Yeah, that and like the whole flower situation as well.
Maybe
Hmm.
neutral.
It was cute. Did anything stand out in particular character-wise to you, Jade?
I'm not sure if I feel any particular bond to any of the characters because Frieren is a bit closed off. Like, you know, that's just her personality, and I felt like I couldn't really like get into her mind as much either. You know, although we do see her memories and her like her daily life and stuff, it just wasn't like a clickable character. I think probably, I don't know what his name is, the one who stood in front of the dragon. Stark. Yeah. I think I probably connected with him the most because I like how real he was. Like, you know, when he said, I was like really, really scared, and like, it's, you know, the dragon somehow just stopped. And then I feel like I can't leave this place because I feel like I'm there. I felt like that was very real. So I connected with that much more, I think.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I think your point there about struggling to connect was quite a good one. I find that many of the characters in this are kind of, we don't get an internal monologue from them at all. So it's a little harder to know what they're thinking. And it's often done through actions instead of words. I was really struggling to tell what Frieren was thinking until the funeral, for example. And then you kind of get a bit of an insight. But even then, she remains fairly straight-faced throughout. Heiter and Himmel are a little easier to read. And Stark, of course, is very readable, which I think helps us like him a lot more. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of going forwards how they can continue to develop these characters and show us how they're feeling and help us kind of connect with them a bit more. I think that one of the drawbacks of us only having read 22 chapters is that they're still kind of introducing characters at this point. I also did really like the Frieren's, I guess, teacher. I thought she was a cool character.
Yeah.
But she fell into the classic kind of teacher trope, as it were, for that, which, you know, I have no issues with.
Yeah, I don't know. I found them, even though I guess I can't describe these characters I can't say they're like, oh, really complex. I can only describe them with like 2 adjectives max, each one of them. But I think, I don't know, I still find them quite entertaining because the story so far is quite direct dialogue wise. I don't know, maybe it's the scanlation that I read. It's quite to the point, everything they're saying, and they speak in third person a lot. Maybe that's normal in manga. I just didn't realize until this one.
Maybe. I quite like the way the dialogue works. I don't feel like there's a lot of fluff.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. There could be, arguably, the drawback is then that you don't get as much character building.
Yeah.
Which maybe then is this kind of issue with struggling a little more to connect to the characters. Having that internal monologue in Stark's, and just the monologue itself of Stark kind of trying to overcome his fear in front of the dragon, was really good to help us connect with him. Whereas Frieren, for example, has been a little more of a blank slate, as it were. So it's definitely an interesting one. And I'm hoping that we'll get some more kind of context for people's actions as we move forward.
Because Fern started off, her motivations is just, like the way to repay Heiter was to get to be independent, which I thought was quite nice. Made sense. I think afterwards, I guess she just following, continues to learn magic from Frieren. Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's kind of counter to the point of the manga, but I'd like to see maybe a little more agency and plan in what the characters are doing. There's been a lot of kind of meandering, which I guess is the point, given that they've defeated the Demon King. This is the happily ever after. There is no particular thing they need to do. But it then means that what is there to focus them on that brings the story together as a whole? We have these smaller arcs like the dragon and the searching for the flowers and the demons in some of the later chapters, but there hasn't been that much of an overarching plot yet. I know we're only 22 chapters in.
To be fair, like that is Frieren's character. She just they made it a point where they were saying how she just goes around acquiring like pointless magic, and she likes to sort of just explore everything for no reason, because they made it a point to do a flashback where she was in this like they were just starting their quest and they went into some sort of building, castle, I presume, and like she was making shaved ice or something. And Eisen was like, oh, this is like so useless. What's the word he used? Like deplorable. So deplorable, like we're wasting time here. Aren't we supposed to defeat this dragon? But then Haito was like, it's going to be a painful journey either way. Why not make it fun,
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of fitting in the way that they're meandering, because that is essentially her character. Like she has a long time to kill, honestly. She's gonna go around. It's the humans, I guess I know what I mean. The humans are the ones who are putting her back, saying no, like 10 years is a long time, or like 80 years, it's like more than a lifetime. Like, so we need more sort of urgency. And so I think we started to see a little bit more of her sort of respecting people's time, as it were, that she's like, okay, let's do this quickly. And they're like, oh, finally.
Indeed. Speaking of Frieren, I have been really enjoying that aspect of her. The fact that she's very kind of unhurried about a lot of things. And, she gets imprisoned at one point and they're like, oh, 2 years in prison. She doesn't care. Similarly, just her general lack of sense of time, I think works really well for her, I guess, being an elf and being somebody that's like that. And I quite like that there are these differences in how the different races view the world and their time in it. For me, that's been one of the main draws, actually, is seeing how Frieren kind of interacts with the different characters and has that, not culture clash, but difference of opinions between kind of her as an elf and everybody else.
This makes me think of Delicious in Dungeon, but it makes me sad because I know they're not going to address it, but like this makes me sad to think like Marcel will live past like Cho Chuk and all the other people, because there's such good pals, and it kind of they do mention the age difference, but they play it off as a gag, like, oh, 30, that's not that old, or like 100, measly, like easy, or they think like Chochuk is like really really young, like 30, that's like you're a child, you don't know what this 30, you're an infant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's putting like that manga for me a different perspective. I'm like so sad. But yeah, I'm enjoying it this so far overall.
Good. My one other character highlight is just how small Frieren is. I really enjoy the panels where she like interacts with somebody else. There's one where she gets picked up by a guard and she's so tiny. She's like when you pick up like a chihuahua. She's just got all her limbs like hanging down. Oh, so cute.
I like that panel when she's like being pinned to the ground and it's just her head. That really tiny one. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I do enjoy it. So moving on to the plot line, we've spoken quite a bit about it, and I think it's a little more drawn out, maybe, than some other manga that we've read. I would also argue that that's part of the point, is that Frieren takes her time with these kind of things, and the manga does too, because it's kind of from her perspective. Were there any, I suppose, other parallels you noticed, or any other plot moments that to you stood out? I personally quite enjoyed the flower hunt, and I've been enjoying the difference between the kind of casual interactions Frieren has when she gets noticed as part of the hero party, and then just has like a nice chat with some of the other humans and maybe makes some shaved ice. for example, versus her more awesome moments when we see that, you know, she's had 1,000 years to practice magic. What's she done in that time? And I was definitely getting kind of dungeon meshy vibes from a lot of it.
But sadder. It's
Sadder.
like
Well, more
real.
contemplative.
Mm.
And there's a word, I'll think of it by the end of this.
It's looking at the adventures from a different perspective.
Kind of. I'm thinking almost like retrospective.
Mm.
So, I guess plot line. How do you find that the plot kind of compares to some of the other hero party goes around doing things manga that we've read since? Case in point, we've got a few. We've got Berserk. We've got Delicious in Dungeon. We've got maybe To Your Eternity, which I think has another kind of parallel going there with the almost immortal.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a lot sadder than this one.
So far, yeah, I agree. I found that To Your Eternity focused even more heavily on the, you know, this person's immortal. Ages kind of change during, whereas Frieren's a little more focused on here's how these people's lives change during Frieren's existence, rather than here's how the ages change.
Yeah.
I guess for me, there's a lot of emphasis on time passing in Frieren, because there's a lot of her friends are either dead or, like, you know, in the process of dying, which we all are. We are all in the process of dying.
Jade, why do you got to do this to me?
But I think, I don't know, I think this manga is quite sad to me, because the way I see the plot going is it will be a case of Fern getting older and passing away too, and maybe Stark and many others that Frieren meets along the way. So in my head, it's a journey for Frieren to kind of, she loses people but also gains people but loses them.
Isn't that kind of the point of this, though, that you treasure that time that you have, and that maybe it's all the more precious because it's limited? You can see her like not really valuing much of her time, I suppose, up until that funeral, where she's like, oh man, actually maybe I should be, you know, paying more attention to those around me. And I'd argue that because it's transient, maybe, and this is kind of what she's discovering, I think, that because this time is transient, it's all the more precious.
Maybe. I just felt like there were like two different times in her life, like hero party times and new adventures times. And I can see that, you know, there are lessons to be learned and things that she realizes. But I think for me, I think that was one of the reasons why I couldn't really get into it as much, because I felt like there wasn't a very clear link to me between the two times.
Okay.
I guess, yeah. I guess because we're still sort of developing these characters as well. Like I'm not as attached to the character, because like when the point of like reminiscence, having the flashback, is like when you're thinking back to these characters, you know, you feel a sense of loss when they're no longer around. But because we don't know these characters as well as Freya has known them, so when these flashback occurs, it's a little harder to be emotionally attached. Although for me, I feel like I'm getting there. Definitely, because you feel like you're knowing them through flashbacks. So yeah, I can't wait till the day that I start like tearing up at this manga, because at some points I was quite close. I think.
Any in particular that you can
Yeah,
think?
I can't. The points where you're supposed to be crying, I'll probably tear up.
The funeral.
Yeah, maybe. And also when Fern was like, I'm doing this, you know, to be independent, even though like Haita is like close to like dead. instead of spending time with him, she's like, I'm going to repay him for being independent. And I'm like, oh. And then he's like, oh, take her away from me. Like, but then Frieren,
Good luck.
Frieren was like, oh, she should be spending precious time with you, And then I was like, oh, yes. That kind of reminds me of Violet Evergarden, that one episode. You know which episode that is.
Oh dear.
The letter, of course. I mean, all about letters. Yeah. What was I gonna say? But yeah. So it's kind of hard to be attached to them, but slowly getting there. So I can see what you mean. Like you can't really see the two timelines connect.
Yeah, fair. Should we move on to the artwork?
Yeah.
What did you think? Generally, any particular thoughts?
I really, really liked it. From Frieren's design to what's her name? Aura. Yeah, the demon that Frieren is battling with at the end of in chapter 22. It was awesome. The character designs were like right up my street because even with the hero party, you've got your personalities and their outfits and hairstyles and even the locations that they travel in with the flowers, the mystical forests, people's villages. It's all laid out really, really well, and you can get this sense of things passing by, like when what you were saying earlier about time passing by, Ollie, you could really feel that in the art, because I especially liked those panels where it's like a kind of brief time skip, but they show you what slices of life moments that happened in their lives. I really, really enjoyed the art in this one.
Yeah, I agree. That was my favorite as well. The montages of what they did.
For sure.
Sometimes I think in other mangas it's like, oh, I wish you could like tell me more rather than just show me montages. But for this one, it's just every time they do it, it's like a treat, because you don't need to delve too deep into what you can see it happening. And it's quite funny as well because they play that gag of the elf, the mage. She gets eaten by the mimic, and even there wasn't a mimic, it was like a pile of bones. Yeah,
I really like their little gags they have in this. There's one when they go to like take down this dragon, and Frieren's trying to teach Fern how to kind of deal with it, and they like smite it from above, and then it does basically nothing, and they're like, Fern's like, Frieren, it's not really doing much. Dragons are kind of tough, aren't they? And the next panel's Frieren just running away. It's like, excuse me. I think it works quite well, the art style. The characters are fairly detailed, actually. I really like how they're drawn, and I think it works really well for many of the expressions. And on those characters that are maybe less expressive, case in point, Frieren, when you do see emotion, it means even more. Similarly, I like what they do for flashbacks. A lot of the angles that you have on the flashbacks are, I think, really well chosen to kind of portray what they want to. Again, if we're talking about, say, the one with when we pick up Stark, and they're talking about him kind of facing off against a dragon, and some of the panels for that are really good for setting the scene. I'd like to see a few more panels that kind of leak into other ones. When you do like a big attack, having it like actually slice through the panel is always a nice treat. But I've been really liking the art, I've got to say. It's clean, it's detailed, the characters look good, and I think it transitions quite well to the comedy moments too.
Yeah, I think you can tell that they tried especially hard to make it clear who the characters are, because I noticed in chapter 3 that old woman had the exact same hairstyle that she had as a kid with the plaits. So I like that they, had that detail in there. It got me wondering, like, do you reckon when we're old we'll have the same hairstyles we did as a kid?
Hopefully not. That'll put me back to long hair.
Same exact straw hat.
Yeah, I really like the sort of layout of the chapter. So you have that line at the top which says chapter X, and then the title with like the little silhouette of Frieren, and then how it starts with X years have passed since the hero Himmel's passing. I like that he's a central character in this way. If they kind of center the time around him, I mean, I still don't understand why he's so central to Frieren yet, but I'm hoping that'll become more clear in later chapters. But it's nice to see.
Is
It's
it
nice to
possible
see.
that the world is measuring time from then? So
Well,
he had
'cause
such a
he's
big impact that much like we measure like BC and AD with regards to Christ, they do kind of that, maybe not putting him at quite the level of Christ, but they measure time basically on how long it's been since the hero passed. I mean, it might not, but I was kind of under the impression that yes, because so far everywhere they've gone, it's been like, hey, the hero party's kind of done this for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd also briefly like to just say I do also love those chapter intro panels where we get them just doing something.
I wonder if there are any anti-hero people in this manga. Like, do you reckon?
Well, like the
You know,
demons.
yeah. I mean, I wonder if there are more organizations out there other than the demons who, oppose what the hero party stands for. And I wonder if this is what Frieren is tackling later on. Frieren the Slayer.
Yeah, maybe. It will be interesting seeing her kind of have to get some more resolve. So one of the main things that she's been missing, as we kind of talked about earlier, is resolve and agency to kind of do something. And I'd like to see her challenged on her previous actions as part of the hero party. And I'd also like to know if everything the hero party did was good for everybody, or if they had other effects too.
Yeah, totally interesting. Because so far, it's everyone has nothing but praises, and apparently they've been erecting statues of them everywhere.
Why are there so many statues?
Yeah,
They did address it actually at one point. And it was
yeah. Is it the one where thingy Himmel is getting the statue being corrected like 15 times or something?
Yeah, and he's like, it said that when I pass on, you'll still get to look at my handsome face.
I know. I see. This is another parallel to like Violet Evergarden. I feel like Frieren, as she like thinks back to the memories, like maybe she'll slowly realize her feelings for Himmel, or realize Himmel's feelings.
Don't do this to me.
And then she's going to be, it's too late because you're dead. I feel like, yeah, this is where it's going, because I was like, everything is like, oh, it's been 28 years since Himmel's passing. I'm like, what about Haita? I thought they're going to do the same thing with Haita when he died. Like 28 years since Himmel, and like 10 years or 5 years since Haita. I'm like, bruh, you're doing my man Haita. Come on. His death matters too, you know? I thought you cared.
Does it though? We're not counting since.
Hey, this is thing. That's why I guess like even though I like how the story is structured, and I see the Violet Evergarden parallel, I just feel like maybe Frieren, where did that come from?
Good luck.
Neglecting the other two parties a little bit, I'm just saying. I just feel like your whole quest of caring other people, it's like you only care, like I think you only really want to get to know Himmel, not the other people.
Maybe it's actually a really bittersweet romance story.
It's like, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I feel like this is what I'm doing.
This is the thing. Like it was kind of torture reading through, because like I was just sad the whole time because all your friends are dying and you're just getting older and like not dying. that would crush me.
I'll pick something happy next time.
And she doesn't even realize it yet. And this is her journey to realize.
Yeah, we're all there like, no, appreciate them.
Yeah, exactly.
What commoner magic would you like to have as a reward for doing simple jobs?
Oh,
I would like one that can put tea to the perfect drinking temperature. Really quite useful,
yeah.
especially for me.
Okay, this is not a commoner, but I guess like I don't want to like time travel that long, like or 50 years back or something like that. I would like the instant ones where it's like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, like a quick save, you know, like because sometimes it's like if only 10 seconds ago I knew what I did was wrong. It's like a quick action. Yeah,
like an undo. Yeah,
that seems pretty powerful for commoner magic though.
That is true. That's why I was thinking like 10 seconds could change a lot. If not that, what would be a good one? I don't know. Can you think of any, Jade?
Yeah, so one that I'd like to have is a bed linen cooler downer.
Oh, absolute quality is what that would be.
Yeah, because when you're just lying in bed and it's way too hot, but you don't want to open any windows, so you just kind of like stick your feet out, but then it's a bit uncomfortable, so you just have to like lie there and hope that you sleep. You're just tossing and turning, and then that thing when like both sides of the pillow are now warm.
Oh, it's tragic.
There is no cool side of the pillow anymore. So I'd like to have that to like cool the bed sheets down.
Or maybe even one that just gives you a good night's rest each night. You still need to sleep the normal amount. You just don't like wake up at 5 a.m. like or something. Normally my secret to that is actually just do stuff in the day and then have a bath before you go to bed. And I'll sleep like a log. I've been sleeping like 9 hours. It's maybe too much, but it's been lovely. But that'd be a pretty good one. Suellen, have you thought of some commoner magic you'd like yet?
What about 2 seconds?
No time travel.
Like, come on, not
time travel too strong.
That's really too strong. I don't know, like stain remover, maybe. Yeah,
that could be helpful.
Oh no, like instant like iron, like because there are some shirts. Just feel like such effort if you just have one shirt that's wrinkly. Like you pull out from like the back of the closet because it's been there so long. Maybe just like an instant like straighten like
that would be beautiful, especially when you get the shirts that have like the little ruffles in going all the way down and you're like these suck to iron.
Yeah.
I'd love some of that. I would also quite like the shaved ice one, especially if I can flavor it.
I love how it's like, but you can't you don't know how to make syrup. Nope, didn't learn that. All they got was just ice. They got just nothing.
There's actually a very cute one Frieren does in chapter I think 10 when she makes a load of rocks just kind of make themselves into a little golem. It was very cute. Didn't do anything useful, but I thought it was I was enchanted by that. I'd love to do that in front of like some kids and just see their reactions.
Yeah, I like that Frieren is now collecting magic that makes her happy and others happy.
Big fan.
Yeah.
I'll look at the panel now. It's very cute.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So I think we have talked quite a bit about the characters, the plot, where we'd like it to go. I suppose issues we have with maybe the slightly more leisurely pace. Were there any particular moments that stood out to you? Or have we not seen enough? I feel like given that we've only had 22 chapters and the pacing is not exactly quick, we've not had any big dramatic moments. We may have had a few somewhat larger emotional moments, I would say.
I think not really a moment, but whenever I see Himmel as an old person, it just makes me laugh. Reminds me of like Seb's character, Mr. Eggs.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah.
I think that, for me, it would probably be that.
For me, I really liked when they picked up Stark for the first time, and he's got the like two colored hair, he's got the like questionable scar on his forehead, and they're like, how much experience do you have fighting monsters? And he's like, none. Just the fact that he's actually like, he's got no idea what he's doing, and he was completely frozen in fear, and the dragon was like, wow, this guy's actually standing, like having a standoff with me, damn. I just really like that little twist on it.
Yeah. I remember now, because I really like Frieren, where she, like, it's revealed that she's actually quite lazy, that she can't get up in the morning that early, and like and Fern is basically became sort of a caretaker for her. Like,
Yeah, her kind of laziness is a very like cute laziness, isn't it?
yeah. And I also love how like apparently she has a facial like and like a dedicated expression where she's like hiding something from Fern. Like it was like a free mouth, like the free as a mouth.
Yeah.
He's like, nothing. It's kind of funny.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Fern do a bit more. I like her character, and I think it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, she's quite funny because she calls everyone Sama, like and it's like the Chinese equivalent of 大人. Like my lord, my lady, kind of like, yeah, my lord, basically, kind of. And as soon as Stark was like, quit that, stop being so like formal, and then she's like, "Oi, Stark, hurry up and help me."
Yeah. Just go 180 back to.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, she's so snarky. Love it.
In which case, we shall move on to our OCHATO unique section, and we're going to grab a character from the previous manga and put them into this one. Now, last time we read Golden Kamui.
Interessante.
Interessante.
I've just been delivered jelly beans. Very happy about this.
Ooh.
So, Golden Kamui. Who should we take from Golden Kamui?
Serpa and Sugimoto.
I like this.
Shibuaki as well. Come on, we can't leave him out. It's the
Oh
treat.
yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. I think a Serpa would work really well. She'd be the like, I reckon she'd actually really impress Frieren, because she knows an awful lot about nature and kind of the world around her. And I can see Frieren just not having any idea how to like exist in nature, because I can guarantee you that the rest of the hero party were like, it's fine, we'll make you breakfast. I understand that the breakfast is going to be late if you make it, so we'll just do it, no issues. And has like absolutely no survival skills. So I could see a Serpa being like, how are you 1,000 but have the knowledge of a toddler?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just see Frieren and Sugimoto arguing.
Often, yes, agreed.
Yeah.
I could see him being very like pushy and very, I guess, human in that way. He's never been one to like hold back at all. And he'd be like, let's go. What are we waiting for? And she'd be like, chill. I'm here.
Do you think that Frieren would eat brains?
I would like to see her face as she contemplates it.
That would be interesting.
I mean, given some of the faces we've had so far, although my favorite in Golden Kamui was actually a Serpa's when she went to eat what was it that Sugimoto offered her?
Osama poop? Miso?
Yeah, when he offered her miso and she was like, I'd really like to see Frieren's equivalent.
Yeah.
What would they like? So they would be human, you would imagine, them, rather than other classes, other beings. I don't know. It's so hard to imagine for some reason.
It's quite a shift going from kind of post-war drama, I guess, to retrospective fantasy meandering.
I mean, I guess you can draw parallels in that well, not you maybe instead of like post-war for Sugimoto, it could be like post Epic Quest, but it's like at what cost? Like a more darker side of exploring, rather
It could
than
be.
the good memories of helping people. Maybe it's like how you said that you wondered this hero party, maybe they've done anything, you know, bad, left any sort of un unconsolable damages.
Mm.
Maybe that their Sugimoto's party would be one to explore that. Like instead, he goes on a journey thinking back of all the damage that might have been done.
Yeah, you make a good point actually, because they are both about kind of groups of people in the aftermath of a large kind of almost world-shaping event.
Mm.
So there are more parallels than I thought there would be.
Yeah.
Mm.
And maybe he would be he would be the anti-hero.
He'd be a great anti-hero because
Mm.
he's quite reasonable, and he's got a lot of drive and determination, and he's got good reasoning for doing what he wants to. I'd like to see it.
And she would just be the comic relief, like, because it would be too dark.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Do you have any final thoughts on this manga?
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. I like to read. Definitely will read more when I get a chance. And yeah, hopefully this will the story will develop a bit more, and we'll get to know the characters a bit more, because I feel like it's getting there in terms of depth. I'm intrigued. Yeah, can't wait to see more.
Yeah, for me, Frieren is an interesting character. Although the series didn't, in these chapters, didn't really capture me that much, but I still really appreciated the story and the plot and the meaning of this series. It was sweet, but also very, very sad.
It was very bittersweet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For my part, I'm equally excited to see where it goes. I kind of don't want to pick it up or read the rest yet, because I feel that then I'll be really invested and will struggle. Much like I have been with Witch Hat Atelier, I still need to see where it goes. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do, and it's a nice twist on the hero party goes, defeats baddies kind of thing. So looking forward to seeing where it goes. What are we reading next week or next time? I'm going to stop saying week one day.
Next week time, we are reading Gintama up to chapter 22 and including chapter 22.
I was not aware there was a manga. I thought it was just an anime.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This is the one with the blue-haired guy, right?
You can't even remember.
I mean, I've never read this before because I had the poster on my wall as a kid, because I used to get Neo magazine. And they had like posters that you could either like tear out. And
Gintama's the white-haired samurai though, isn't he?
Yeah.
I thought he had blue hair.
Well, it's a manga. It's black and white. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I
On
mean,
the covers though,
it's like light blue, but it's like white because like the shadows. I think.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. That's like very light blue indeed.
Frosty. But yeah, next week we're reading Gintama up to and including chapter 22. So see you there. I have no idea what it's about. We shall find out next week time.
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of OCHATO.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Woo!